This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Beach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good evening, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. We are live from our home studio because, unfortunately, thanks to Hurricane Ian, every business in Times Square is now in the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. But more on that later. First, a few updates that we want to bring you before we get to our first guest, Tommy Doyle. We talked to the fire chief, and we are going to talk about this more with Bill Veach when he comes on at 6:30. The fire chief says that the search is progressing well. They hope by Saturday that they can open a portion of the beach, and that's going to be for a section, and it's only preliminary. It's not for sure that Saturday will be a section of the beach, and it would only be for a period of time. They're transitioning into the clearing off the debris management. And then what happens there, the town kind of takes over from the search and rescue teams. And then they put the plan in place to clean the debris. But when they eventually do let people on, they want to remind them that if they do go to their house to pick up their things or see how their house is progressing, there is no infrastructure. There's no water. There's no power. There's no restaurants. There's no Publix. There's nothing on the island. So for you to stay in your house would be a bad thing. There's no sewer. So we'll talk to Bill more about that at 6:30. The second update we wanted to tell you about is the fundraiser. We have two fundraisers going on, but the one that we started 7 days ago to raise money for the people on the beach, it was $137,000 last night at 5 o'clock. It's $156,000 tonight at 5 o'clock. So thank you all so much for donating through the PayPal account or the Venmo account. The majority of that money is going right into the Community Foundation or the Women's Club Fund, and they are turning it right around to $500 per person that apply. The way to apply is go to our Facebook page and click on the top link. That'll take you right to the application. It's a simple application, and the reason we're asking you to do this is because we want to make sure the money goes to the people on the beach, that there's no riffraff, there's no shenanigans, that people try to scam the money that we want to get to you. So as long as you can provide a valid license that you're in the 33931 zip code, then you are going to get the $500 within 48 hours, probably by Zelle. So if you could do that, that would be great. And we're also working on the plan with the gift cards for the employees. We found out today by compilating a list that there's between 1,500 and 2,000 people that lost their jobs just on Fort Myers Beach. So we'll tell you, talk more about that when Bill comes on and toward the end of the show. And, at the end of the evening where we usually leave the show on after we end the live broadcast and leave the comments, at the end of the show, we're going to play a video. I was able to ride the bicycle on Estero Boulevard the day after the storm. So you're really going to be able to see. It's a 13-minute video, so we're just going to let it roll after the show. You're going to be able to see all the damage right up and down Estero Boulevard from Times Square all the way to the library. Right now, Tommy Doyle joins us. Tommy is the election commissioner here supervisor here in Lee County. And Tommy, how are things going with you? First of all, how did you make it through the storm?
I made it really well and very blessed. And I feel for everybody on the barrier islands, Fort Myers Beach. I grew up here in Fort Myers and spent a lot of time, done a lot of work on Fort Myers Beach. Had a lot of friends out there, and pray for their health and well-being.
So the first question is there going to be an election on Fort Myers Beach?
Well, we probably won't have any polling sites, of course, on Fort Myers Beach, but our plan is we're going to have a hard time getting poll workers. We're going to have a hard time getting polling locations all across the county. So we have a petition into the governor that will allow us to run our early voting sites, which we're going to call voting centers, for extended period of time. Right now, we're planning on opening voting on October 24th. And if we get the governor's order, which I think we will, We will end voting November 8th at 7 p.m. So each voting site will be 12 voting sites. Anybody can go vote anywhere at any site. They'll be open 9 to 6 every day, except on November 8th, they'll be open from 7 to 7.
And what do people need to bring with them in lieu of they might have lost some of their documents in the storm?
Well, there's on our website, there's about 12 different identification you can use, but I would suggest they would request their vote by mail, and if they're displaced, call our office, and we'll put the new address in their file, and we'll get that. And they need to do that pretty quickly. That way, if you lost your ID and you are a registered voter, you can vote without the vote by mail. You won't have to go to a poll and show an ID.
Was today the last day to change if you needed to update your voter registration card with your address? That someone
October 11th is the last day.
Last day. Okay.
So Tommy, are you saying that there's no chance that the election is delayed?
There is no chance that the election will be delayed.
Okay, so you mentioned that people should go to the polling places or request something by mail. There's a lot of people that might be in hotels or in shelters right now. What is their best route to get it into?
If they give us an address that we can send it to, they can drop it off, or we're working on some other considerations. But either way, the second consideration, you still have to mail it. If they have internet service, it's a possibility they could go online, request an accessible ballot. Now, accessible ballot is actually, we send you a secure link, and you can actually print your ballot out and mark it with your certificate that you sign, and then you have to put that. You have to use 2 envelopes. You have to put the ballot in an envelope and put that inside the envelope with the certificate. The ballot envelope has to be secured. We got to be able to see that certificate with your signature on it to verify it's you. If you go to the polls without an ID, you will we'll give you a provisional ballot, which we will verify your status after the election. And if we can verify you, then that means that your vote will count.
Somebody was just saying, if you can scroll up, that they called your office today or called the office today, and they were very helpful in getting right there. Called this morning, and after having provide some identifying information, they're mailing me a ballot to my temporary location in St. Pete. So grateful. So just wanted to pass that compliment on to you guys.
So you're able to go ahead.
These the addresses they're giving us are on file, and then once they get to a permanent place, they probably need to call and give us their new address. They can still keep their residence address at Fort Myers Beach until, whenever, as long as we have a mailing address we can send it to. So because you got to remember, these addresses are not these vote by mail are not forwardable, so they're going to come back to us. Now, the post office mass mailing went out today. We mailed out 150,000 ballots today. Those ballots on Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island, the post office will take those and attempt to deliver them. Those that they can't deliver will go back to their alternate post office. Like Fort Myers Beach has it. I don't know what that is, but we have a link on our website that people can go see where their alternate, and they'll hold them for 10 days. But I would go ahead and request your vote by mail and get call our office and get the new address on file so we can send it to the new address.
Yeah, so on Fort Myers Beach, there are no mailboxes left anywhere. So those ballots are going to be
Sanibel too.
Yes, Sanibel.
Yeah, Sanibel too.
So they're going to be held at the post office. So the folks what about the folks that don't have wheels?
Well, that's what I was talking about, the accessible ballot. If they got internet, they can get requests. You can go online and request an accessible ballot, and all the instructions are there for you. And it's mostly designed for a blind voter that can vote from home, but I'm not going to question somebody's disability.
What is your biggest concern about? I mean, this is obviously unprecedented. It seemed like everything was rolling along and everything was going to be smooth. And then, a month before the election, we have the worst hurricane ever in Lee County. What is your biggest concern about this election?
Is the voters I'm going to try to give them every access I can so that their vote is counted. It's unfortunate. I know the last thing on people's minds right now, especially those who are displaced, those who are trying to save their home, their livelihood. Last thing on their minds is elections, and I understand that. I'm sure it's going to affect the turnout, but there'll be other elections, and I hope we're going to give everybody the opportunity to vote.
So I don't know if I heard or you heard that you were having trouble finding people to work the polling places too. Is that true, or has that been resolved, or is that a rumor?
Well, it's probably a rumor. I haven't got a full assessment of the availability, except that I know I can staff my 12 sites that I want to use for what we call voting centers. We have enough to staff those. And
where will the closest center be to Fort Myers Beach?
Probably the closest center will be the Waxahachie Recreational Center, and that's on Bass Road, off of Summerlin.
Is there any chance that you might add one closer to Fort Myers Beach for people down there?
Well,
I don't know if they're
that's pretty close, and everything closer is in worse shape. And this is a government-owned building, and we were the normal site is Lakes Regional Library, and it's being used by FEMA. Yeah, and it won't be available.
Yeah, I went there today. It is being used by multiple agencies and businesses. So yeah, they're busy there.
Yeah. So, and the park it's not far. It's almost across the street. So it's pretty close. I wish I could put one right on Fort Myers Beach, but there's nobody there.
Right.
So and the residents of Fort Myers Beach could be scattered all over the state, and in the interior of Lee County. There's just no convenient way. Most of our early voting sites are spread out all over South Fort Myers, East Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and North Fort Myers.
Now, because I always vote on election day. To me, it just feels like something I want to get out in line and I want to stand around with the people and vote. So I don't know if this is a premature question to ask you or not. Do you know how the pre-voting, is there early voting that happened already, or that did not happen? Oh, you got nothing in the mail yet? Nothing.
We just sent it today.
Okay.
We just put them in the mailbox today. So they'll start getting them probably. Sometimes some people get them the next day, but they'll start getting them the next few days. They'll receive their vote by mail. Now you can still go vote on election day. Our voting will start October 24th, and we will have vote centers open on election day.
And for folks who are voting by mail, then they have to do their vote and get it right back in the mail back to you guys. Is that?
Or we have drop off. You can drop it off at the early voting sites. You can drop it off at all my offices.
Okay. And for folks who, and again, I'm not, this is not my forte, but if you're voting out of your area, that's not going to be a problem, at least at this point.
Right. The state law says you have to, when you've got precinct voting, where we have a poll, we have 2 precincts on Fort Myers Beach. So you have to vote in your precinct in order, or you get a provisional, or you have to go find your precinct. Here in this system, it's just like early voting. You can go to any site. You could be driving down the road and pull into a site and vote. You could be going to work and vote. You could be coming home and you can vote.
I mean, one of the things that I never understood was why they don't make election day like a national holiday. It just it seems like you got to get around your work thing, and it just seems like one of those days that should be a national holiday.
You're right. It should be. It's that's something you got to talk to your state representatives, your congressman, and
Forget that,
and
man.
get
Forget
them
that.
on board.
They're a little busy right now.
I don't do politics. I do
Right.
elections.
Right. So, any final thoughts for the folks on Fort Myers Beach about the voting process, that their vote's going to be counted, and the easiest way for them to get in and stay in the process?
Well, I think if they're able to request a vote by mail, that's probably their easiest way. We could have a vote by mail to them in a couple of days. They could look at it, research it, sit down and vote it. And if they don't trust the mail and they got wheels, they can drop it off at our drop-off sites.
Or they could call somebody to come get them and take them to the closest voting place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another law that we have to be concerned about is the law says you can only possess 2 ballots other than your family members. So, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Are you feeling confident about the integrity of the votes?
Oh, yes.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. People question vote by mail because like now, people that were displaced, their vote by mail is going out and they can't be delivered. They could be held and the vote by mail is come. They can request another one, even though they've requested one already. You can request up to 3 ballots. People say, well, isn't that going to affect fraud? You can only vote 1 ballot. With the technology we have today, you have to have the certificate, you have to have the signature, and you have to request that vote by mail. And when it comes back, if that ballot's already voted, then the next ballot comes in, it's not going to be counted.
Where can people call if they have questions?
Call my office at 239-533-8683 or go to my website at lee.vote. You can register to vote online. You got till October 11th. You can change your address online. But if your address is not on file, call my office so we'll make sure we get it on file.
Okay.
And that's
one of the things when I go to vote is right up the street at the church here, and I just bring my ID and they print out the ballot now with the right names on it. And so somebody from Fort Myers Beach is going to be stranded at Estero at Hertz Arena. If the polling place is open here in Gateway, they're going to come over here, and that place is going to know what ballot to print out, or they have to have a ballot first. No,
they'll know.
Okay.
We don't print ballots at precincts. We have them already printed. We hand you one. Now this system, we got 2 systems going to happen. We have a touchscreen marking device, which is called an express vote, and it started the use as for ADA people. However, now it's fully certified for all voters to use. So we're going to man those so we can decrease mistakes by poll workers and the printing of the ballot. So you go in, and this system, you can select your choices, and you can review your choices. It prints out a ballot, which looks different, and it has the choices. You can review it, and then you put it in the tabulator just like a regular paper ballot. And we're going to man all our vote centers with these touch screens, and we'll back it up also with what we call ballot on demand. So if you want a regular sized ballot, you can say, I want a ballot. We'll print you one out. And our e-poll pads knows your name comes up. They know what ballot style you should get. You're going to have your Fort Myers Beach Council people on there.
Wow. Very sophisticated, it sounds. I mean,
yeah.
Totally. And you totally trust that system, the whole computer thing.
Well, yes, we test it before the election. And then we also do a post audit, which we pull the cards, the ballots, and we actually hand count them, and then we compare them to the machine count. Now it's a random selection of a precinct and a race.
Got it. Now, well, there's a question here from Kathy. What date do mail-in ballots have to be postmarked by?
There's no postmark it. We have to receive it in our office by 7 p.m. We don't rely on postmark. So as soon as you fill that ballot in, send it in, and make sure it gets into us by 7 p.m. And you can drop it off at 7 p.m.
On November 8th.
On November 8th. Gotcha.
So
on November 8th.
have you ever had a circumstance where you had to do this sort of craziness?
No, this is another historical event. Every election that I've conducted has been a historical event. I had elections during Irma, had to delay early voting. I had 3 race recount, never happened in the history of Florida. I had COVID, and now I got Ian. Thank you.
It doesn't seem like anything. What's going on here? No.
Did you reach out to other areas how did you figure all of this out on the fly like this?
Well, when Hurricane Michael hit Bay County, first of all, we've been pushing for vote centers since 2016. We go to the legislature every year pushing our association, Florida Supervisor of Elections, pushing for vote centers so counties could have the option to do that, because it would save, in the long run, not initially, but it would save a lot of money on logistics, on delivery, on poll worker training, on number of poll workers you use. And so when Bay County was hit by a Cat 5 Hurricane Michael, they were devastated.
Yeah.
So Bay County got the executive order. So this is a blueprint that we're using that Bay County used.
Okay.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for everything, and good luck with this. And hopefully, we still have a decent turnout. You know, it seems like when you get further away from Sanibel and Pine Island and Fort Myers Beach, life is almost back to normal. You know, other than the traffic lights and some power, it is day by day getting back to normal.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just a lot of cleanup, and it's very. Yep. You know, my son got flooded, so he's stripping his house out, and he lives right down the street from me. So. Everybody in the county is affected, every single person.
Yep.
And my heart goes out to the Berry Islands, because that's paradise.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's our backyard. That's what me and my wife call it, our backyard.
All right, Tommy. Well, good luck on election day, and we really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Lee County Election Supervisor Tommy Doyle, everybody. And just so you all know and you all remember, there's 4 for those of you watching from out of the country that are not involved in the voting out of the country. We did have a couple of people from Australia, so it is kind of
there's that benefit. State.
Out of state who are just paying attention to the show because of the storm. There are 4 council members running for 2 open seats. The mayor is one that he is running again. The vice mayor is not running. Her seat is open. Then you got Karen Woodson, John King, and Patrick Romko. But you also have to remember that there's a school board seat, an at-large school board seat between Denise Nystrom and Jada Langford that you vote for on the beach. So when you see that on there, and there's that crazy referendum where they want to make the school superintendent an elected position that you have to vote no on, hopefully. But that's just my opinion, right? I'm only allowed to say that's my opinion, right? You're voting no on making it elected.
No, but
you see, now you're going to confuse everybody. It is worded weird, but it's vote no. So stop trying to confuse the voters because you want it to be yes. No,
I'm not weighing in.
All right.
I just want to make sure you're right, because you can't seem to get some things right, like your own Venmo.
I know.
That's all right.
And there's other things on there too. Obviously, Byron's on there, and a couple of the other. I think there's some state reps on there, but the most important one on Fort Myers Beach is the town council, which there are 4 people running for 2 open seats. Real quick before we get Bill Veach on. Just a reminder that at the end of the show, we usually turn off the camera. We're going to play a video that I recorded on my bicycle, where it was the day after the storm, and I rode from Times Square all the way down to the library. So I got pictures of the school in Bay Oaks, and I'm just going to leave it on there because it's 13 minutes. And if you want to watch it, that's fine. If I don't want to bore you with it during the show because it's so long, but go ahead.
And I work some
Yeah,
stuff in
work
here.
some
So
magic there, wifey.
it's down at the Buttonwood, 820 Buttonwood Drive, which is down just before the bridge. And they're a collection site. They have a ton of stuff down there. And so I dropped some stuff off, and I just have some notes that they wanted me to relay. They said, if you have people that need food, please let them shop there at 820. We have semis coming in, and they're really fully loaded. So go there. They have, I just can't even list all the things they have: food, toiletries, blankets, pretty much if you name it, they probably have it. As far as donations, they're good on blankets, but they're looking for pallets. So I'm guessing those wooden pallets to stack stuff or move stuff around. Let me see. As far as other things to donate, pillows, baby food, sunscreen, they were getting a little low on. And this was this morning. I mean, but underwear, socks, cat food, boxed milk in a box. Work gloves were a big thing. They do not have a lot of those. And if you see them out, because when the cleanup comes, and it's coming, they're really, really going to need those work gloves. And always, diapers are helpful.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that people are asking for as many
I was
diapers.
too.
I didn't think that was going to be a big deal.
There's a lot of people that are in need, and there's a lot,
folks. I mean,
driving. And what's on Pine Ridge, is that the American Legion on the left? They have a huge donation thing they're giving out. Shuckers is on Pine Ridge. At the Park and Ride, they're giving out stuff. The donations are flooding into the Kiwanis. They such nice people. I went and took their picture there today. They're just full of joy and happy to do what they're doing, and they're committed to staying there. They have a tent that they've rented for a month and assured me they'll keep it as long as they need to. They're just, happy to give it away. They're giving it away. So there's lots of places to get stuff. Yes,
Tracy, I will post a link to the video after the show is over for anyone that cannot stay on and watch it afterward. I'll put that right up on the Facebook page. There are a couple other things that we wanted to tell you about. We are working on the gift card giveaway for the employees of Fort Myers Beach. And we have a volunteer that's helping us out with gathering all the names. I put that, one thing I realized with everybody helping, watching and tuning in is people want to help. And if I throw out something where I need a volunteer because there's too much stuff going on here at the house, they're willing to help. So Gigi is agreed to gather all the names. And we're sending her the email from a manager of the businesses has to send the names of the employees to her email. She's compiling the list of names, and then we're going to, as much as we have them, we're going to give them away. I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get a $500 gift card, but we're going to sure try to get everyone a $500 gift card because they're out of work. In a lot of cases, they lost everything. So as people send them in, and a lot of people from across the country are sending in the cards, we're going to give them right out. We're going to try and organize a place to do it either Friday or Saturday, depending on how many come in. And we're just going to keep getting them in the mail. We're going to keep calling you up and setting up a place for us to give them out to you. We know $500 isn't a lot, but I guess it's better than a kick in the groin right now, which is what you've been dealt with for the last 7 days. So if you want to donate a gift card from across the country, just send me an email and I'll get you the address. And the reason I'm doing it that way is I can kind of keep track of how much is coming in and seeing that we're going to, how many we're going to have, or how many we're going to have in the kitty there. So our goal is to get $500 to every employee. I don't know if we can do it, but we're sure going to try. Send an email to Gigi.
And he'll be right back.
Barse. Don't send individual emails, please, because that's just it's gonna disorganize the organization. We have a system going. It's GGB and it's GIGI, not two G's. BARSE at Gmail. Have your manager or your owner send the list. That's all. That's all you need to do, and we'll organize it from there. Real quick, we're at $156,000 before the show started. Last night before the show started was $137,000. We'll take whatever you can give. We realize the need is going to be bigger than we thought. When we thought we were going to raise $10,000 and it started climbing up like this, it was crazy great. Let's make it as much as we can so that we can just keep giving the money back to the folks on the beach. I want to thank Nancy Ziegler from Pennsylvania. She donated $1,000. Kevin McDonald, he donated $1,000. Donovan Frantenist from Minnesota donated $1,000. Billy Erline, $1,000. Roger Scarborough, $1,500. My cousin Art, $300. Julie Thompson, $500. Your aunt
She's
donated
up to 400 now.
Oh, my
I
family's
know.
got to step it up, man. They are cheapskates.
And I just want to, I know Bill's in the green room. But I just wanted to mention, I want to do a shout out to Hannah. I didn't even get her last name, but Hannah owned a place or was living at a place at Leonardo Arms on the beach. She has a dog grooming business in Bonita. And she just came to the front door last night. Like it was dark, 8:00. She had just flown in from the UK, just wonderful accent. And she had bags of stuff. And it was kind of, I was like, oh, where did, you just got off a plane. She got, when she flew, told the airline staff where she was going, and they all got together, and 3 airlines donated all their first class like amenities supplies, so combs, shaving kits, the masky things, slippers. She even got the blue gloves that they use to clean, and walked off the plane with all this stuff, and the airline staff had to run after her and get 2 things of gloves because they gave them all to her and they had to clean the plane. So what a great thing. I want to thank British Airways, American Airways, and Cathay Pacific, which was a new one to me. But you know what? You can get donations and be creative, and people are willing to help. They're
Right.
really willing to help.
Just one more tiny thing before we pull Bill Veach on. The donations to Venmo and to PayPal that you see on the screen there, the money from that is going into the Community Foundation and the Women's Club Fund. All of those funds are going to be combined. And you go, if you have a 33931 zip code, you're going to go on our page, our Facebook page. The top top story is going to be the one you click on. It's a short application that you fill out, and we're going to get you the money as quickly as we can. So that's all. Oh, I got the wrong thing there. Why don't you just tell me? It doesn't have to be that professional. Just tell me you got the wrong banner on there. And you're really only going to need to fill out a couple of things. And then after that, you're going to upload your license or anything that shows that you have, that you live on the beach, and we're going to get you $500 as quickly as we can. So let's stop all the shenanigans there and pull Town Councilman Bill Veach on. And Bill, how are you?
Very tired.
So the first question is, how did you and your wife do? We've been showing pictures of your house. You totally lost your house. Tell us the story about where you were and what happened with you both.
Well, we went to a hotel with some town staff and a few other counselors, and it was like a little over by the hospital off of Bass Road, and it's a 4-story hotel. And then the water came in, and the ground floor flooded. So they moved people from the ground floor. And this is like, Donna, the receptionist, she was staying on the first floor. She came up to the room we were in with Eva, and we were on the 4th floor. And then they evacuated the 4th floor because the roof was making some really strange noises. And so through the bulk of the storm, we were on the 2 floors. We were like triple bunking. There were people in the hallways. We were taking chairs out of our room to give people something they could do in the hallways, and Rexanne Hassefrost was out there handing out sandwiches. So that's what we did for the storm. The morning after the storm, I got on there with Roger mid-morning, and I have a 4-wheel drive pickup truck. I got maybe 2 blocks onto the island. It's as far as I could go, just past Atlantic High. And then I had to park. I left Roger there. He was hoping to get to Times Square. He was hoping to get to Town Hall so we could set up a command center, but Town Hall is just essentially gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took, I think the next day, and that first day, the town got some of their equipment to kind of knock down the big things. I mean, there were like, cars and poles and debris of houses in the road. It was really astonishing. And then within a day or so, they had plowed the road to make it serviceable for emergency vehicles down to the south part of the island. But since then, I've been checking on people and checking on their houses. And then, attending whatever meetings I can get into to try to find out what's going on.
So at your house, were you able to get to your house within a couple of days and salvage anything?
We walked down there, our house is gone. And I mean, I appreciate people who want to think they have this mud in their house and they really want to get to it. We don't have that problem because there's nothing left. I have a garage with a man cave over on the top of it that we built a few years ago. And that is in perfect shape. I mean, the door's locked, the windows work. The modern building codes really work. The 90-year-old house, not so much. But the new part of the house is good. And if you go down to Estero, you'll see that. The new houses are in good shape. All those old funky little cottages that we love so much, especially along Estero, they're not only gone, they're like just pilings sticking up. The devastation is just absolutely phenomenal.
So, Bill, the big question that everybody's been asking for days, and they continue to ask today, is when are they going to be allowed back on the island? So what is the plan?
Well, I've heard this a lot, and we had people coming onto the island. It was a bit of a lot of people seem like they're just coming to look around, and people pushing shopping carts around, this kind of stuff. But then we got a plea. We had the fire chief and the head of the search and rescue, Bill Fucci, come to us and say that they just can't do their work. They're trying to clear an area, but there's so many people in and out, they just can't do it. And I guess the dogs are very sensitive, and they don't really tolerate a lot of activity around them. So they pleaded with us to get on board with them. Now we're not really the decision makers here, but they just wanted the support of us, and they made a very compelling case. So we agreed with that. They've had a lot of access. There's still things going on on the beach. There is, the power company is working on the power lines. They were down around the Baptist church today when I left, and they're working the way down. I know further south, there's actually these cement posts that are broken in half. But today now, I've been told this is a current plan. I've also been told that it seems to change several times a day, is that try to get the search and rescue people to clear areas they've gone through, to sign off to say that we've done, say, north of Times Square, so that the town can go in and do their pass to make sure that if there's sinkholes, that they're marked off, that streets are passable, that there's no power lines, all that kind of stuff. And then we can open up a section like the north part of the island. The search and rescue, though, they started at the north and the south end, because the south is where all the people are, all those condos, and there's a lot of the rescues goes on in those condos. So they're coming from two ends, and until they get the middle section cleared, they really don't want a lot of traffic, and certainly a lot of people going up and down the streets through the middle part of the island. So the plan that's being kind of passed around now is to say that we'll have like a colored, sticker that people wear, like you see at festivals or whatever, or a wristband that says that you get to be in a certain area on a certain day. It doesn't mean you can go all over the island, but you can be in a certain area during the day you get the pass, and you come back off at night. And then as it opens up, there'll be more of those areas.
Now, as you open it up, as you were suggesting, in kind of stages, people are going to have to either have a hurricane pass or proof of, residency. How is that going to be handled so that it limits the problems that were going on in the first couple of days?
Apparently, Roger has reached out to Oracle and some other technical groups to try to come up with the technical fix for that. They are sending I think not just Oracle, but they're sending 16 people down to help us with this. Now, I don't know the numbers. This is all very preliminary, but Roger has really pulled some levers and got some people to help this go as smoothly as possible. I realize it's going to be hard for people. I know how it feels to be, off the island. I have personally tried to get out and take pictures of people's houses as much as I can, to help them. But this is not Charlie. This is not I think there's people who've told me they want to see other houses, and I go out and they have no house.
Yeah.
There was one person who sent me a thing they wanted to. I think their aunt had a house, and they wanted me to go look at the house. And not only was the house gone, but the search and rescue people with their dogs are working on a pile of rubble like 2 houses down from it. That was yesterday. So there's the destruction is just
it's catastrophic.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So Bill, who's in charge on the ground?
Well, it depends on what, right? Now the sheriff is the gatekeeper, right? The sheriff decides who gets on and off the island. The fire department works closely with the sheriff listens to the fire department, and the rescue guys work with the fire department. They're kind of in the same business, if you will. Today there was a meeting, and this was couched to me as following: the meeting was with the fire department, with the search and rescue people, and with the sheriff, and they were going to come up with a plan, and then they were going to present the plan to the town. So the town is not driving this, but we are in the conversation.
Okay. One of the things that we have seen over the last week is that Lee County has been holding regular press conferences. Sanibel just had one, 5 o'clock. They're holding nightly Facebook Live press conferences with their residents in the room at the Crown Plaza Hotel so they could ask questions of the town council with their town manager leading it. Why hasn't the town council on Fort Myers Beach held any meetings?
Well, meetings are complicated, right? Meetings, you need notice, you need the equipment to be able to transmit it live, to have it public. We have no space. I mean, right now the town manager's in a little trailer.
Bill, they're doing it, but the Sanibel Town Council is doing it at the Crown Plaza in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Could they do it by Zoom?
I certainly think that we need to have a meeting sometime, but I want to, Fort Myers Beach is the hardest hit area. We're the densest populated area that got really hit by this in the big areas. And to have a meeting, it basically is kind of like when the president came to visit. Okay, it was good that we could ask the president for things. We could get our story and we could ask them, because like debris removal is a huge thing. With 80 to 90% of the buildings on Fort Myers Beach, I've heard as an estimate, could be declared as tear downs, right? We need help with going down the road. And so he came down and we could ask that, but for that day, not a whole lot happened. We have a meeting, we pull our staff in, not a whole lot can happen.
Okay, I guess we're seeing a lot of people saying they're not getting the communication they feel like they deserve as residents of Fort Myers Beach, and that's the only reason I ask. I'm not saying why not hold a nightly meeting. I'm just saying it seems like they want to hear from the full council, and that's the reason I asked the question. Well,
that's the reason I'm here too, Ed. And
okay,
I realize what it's like. I also know that early on, particularly the first few days, communication was ridiculous. I mean, at our hotel, on the island, everywhere, there was just no cell phone coverage. I was out, because I got 2 flat tires on day 1 from this storm, and I was out looking for tires like on day 2, and I get to an intersection, my phone rings, and I was like surprised, like I haven't heard a ring in a couple of days. And it was my sister who was just freaking out because she hadn't heard from us. And I know that communication is everywhere, especially when, in the early days, but it really inhibits us being able to communicate. We're basically left with the choice of trying to be on the island and do the physical work on the ground, or go off somewhere where we're out of touch just to communicate.
Right. I guess some people would say, well, you guys are in charge of being in charge, and that you have staff and people on the ground to do stuff like that. But I mean, I don't want to harp on that. Do you have any idea where this death toll might be on Fort Myers Beach? Nobody has been able to confirm any number.
That's all. I think when I've been asked, they said you refer to the local authority is the policing authority, so it's the sheriff who knows that. I would have thought maybe the fire department would. I don't know. I mean, I hear anecdotal evidence. I just read a story in the local paper about Mitch. Sweetest guy around.
Yep.
Oh God.
And I know that like a good friend of my wife's, her and her husband passed away, and it's just like, I hear anecdotal things, but when I was and this is a very true analogy, but a very true story, that I was out, and this happened numerous times, where I went to check on people. I didn't know really if they were alive. Like, some of the stories come into Andre Mar, where there's like 3 or 4 houses in a row. One of them was my wife's friends, and then there was 2 people who made heroic escapes. But just to see them alive, I went down by by the laundromat down there by Lazy Way and all that, and I saw Steve and Cindy Johnson, and I didn't really know. I mean, they're in a great house, and they were at their house, but just seeing them, okay, it's just that I get so much joy from that, even more than I feel sorry for losing all my stuff. I mean, it's an apocalyptic scene. There's like, where the area where I saw them was like a wasteland. There were just some washing machines scattered around, no structures, just open kind of sandy, wasteland with appliances here and there.
Do you have any idea how many people stayed on the island and did not evacuate?
I don't. I think, though, I would guess in the hundreds. And I know a lot of people are leaving. Like, Jim Adderho was there in his condo, and he finally, just without any kind of communication or water or all that, he finally left. People are still staying. I have some serious structural concerns of the structural integrity of some of those buildings. I went down and looked at the Leonardo Arms. There's been a lot of scouring in there. The first 2 floors, as far as I can see, were just wiped out. Salt water is an incredibly corrosive, medium that goes right into those pilings. So, there's even the buildings that are standing. I have a friend had a house, and she's on the beach. It's a newer house, well, kind of newer. It's elevated. And I went around her house and I took some pictures. And the only thing I saw was the sliders from the first floor of occupancy were broken out. And she somehow got somebody in to look at it, and her entire floor is gone. So from the outside, it looks like, it got some water in through the sliders. But when you actually get there and you see, the house is much more seriously damaged. And I think a lot of people are going to find that, because, 2 feet of water from Charlie in your house is one thing. But if you have a block house at grade and the water gets up to the top of that and fills those little channels with water, it's in there for a long time, and it's moldy, and it just makes your house almost unlivable.
Well, I think you make a good point about it. I was lucky enough to go up, get a ride up in a helicopter and view it from above. And you get the sense, wow, there's a lot missing, but there's still quite a few standing, buildings. But when you see it down on the ground, you realize that does not mean
you can live
that you can live in them. And so it really is impactful to see it, up close and personal. I mean, I think, yes, people are going to be, no matter how many pictures they see, no matter how many times people say it, when they see it, it's going to be a shock.
Yeah. And, like you take a town hall as an example, and I walked up, it looks at the front windows there, but blown out. But then, you start, and they're not using any of that. I mean, they're, right now they're in a collection of trailers. They're building a tent to kind of be able to, they're really pushing, like, to have permitting, to have insurance, checks, all that kind of stuff going on there. But they have a second floor, and even that, I think, you look at it closely and the roof is blown off.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, how does the town government not go bankrupt?
Well, right now, honestly, they're, the long term will be interesting. We're in a fortunate position because, honestly, and I'm not, this is something that's going to have to come from the town council, so I'm not going to make a point on it. But we have all these big infrastructure projects that we can basically put on ice, right? We have money for those that we can put on ice. But like the debris removal from Fort Myers Beach would cost more than our entire annual budget, right? So it's a huge amount of money. But this, and I know I know you don't see eye to eye with Roger very often. This is the closest I've been to seeing how he works, staying in the same hotel, being with him a lot. He is pulling so many levers, and they talk about this FEMA period where originally it's 72 hours, they moved it to 60 days, turned to 120 days. That's essentially a period where whatever the town spends within certain things, right? Not like removing debris from private property, but from removing debris from public property, working on getting some of this infrastructure back up, is 100% paid by FEMA.
Okay.
My understanding, though, it's not necessarily paid immediately. So it means you have to be able to float some of that money until you get there. And we have that money. We have some money to float it. So now I think you get to a point where maybe the FEMA only pays a little bit, and even the percentage that we'd have to pay would become problematical. But there's a lot of, with this emergency declaration and what DeSantis is doing and what Biden is doing, there's a lot of money, and I see Roger, he's tapping in as much of that as he possibly can.
So let's kind of nail down as much as we can, as much as you think maybe Saturday, or the chief said to us before the show, maybe Saturday, some people will be allowed on the island. Is that what you're hearing?
That's kind of okay. I think that, but I haven't really got clear on this, is that when they say they're done with the search and the rescue, there still needs to be a bit of a safety pass. And I don't think this is a week-long thing. I think it may just be, especially if it's only a portion of the island, just to go through. And like I know on down by Anita's house on Jefferson, it turns into less than a one-lane road after her house because the road just washed away. So those things need to be marked off. There's things you can do with emergency personnel you can get away with, which you really can't do with the general public. Someone falls in that sinkhole, they could sue the town. So and like in a lot of streets, there's so much debris they just can't. There's like 6 streets they haven't even managed to clear yet.
Yeah. So it's there's no, for folks, I understand they want to get back on the island, but I also understand from being there that you couldn't walk down from one end to the other of Primo from the Estero to the end of Primo. You could have got a nail in your foot. You could have, somebody almost slipped and fell when we were carrying some water around. I know it's probably not that dangerous right now. They might have cleared it off, but it really is. It's like a war zone. it's completely rubble. There's just, for the most part, in areas is nothing but rubble. And there could be bodies underneath some of the rubble.
There could be, and I really, the search and rescue people and the fire chief made a very compelling case, and they just need to get after this, and I don't know since then if they've actually managed to pull anybody out alive. I don't know, but there's also respect for the people, the bodies that are in there. I don't want to be.
That's right.
I don't want to be digging around looking for my, my self-esteem trophy from Little League baseball, and find the remains of somebody.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. So, okay. So we're not sure that Saturday will be the day. When will we be sure that someday might be the day? Like, is there going to be a decision day where somebody says, this is the day?
I think there's going to be a press release. This is kind of similar to the one we had where when we declared a close, where the fire chief is going to, make a statement. This is, and in the collection is going to make a statement. And of course we need to coordinate it, right? Because if we decide something and the sheriff doesn't, no, that's not going to work. For a while, the sheriff wasn't letting town staff on,
right.
So.
Let's pop a question on here from the audience. What about the town's post-disaster plan? Are they implementing it?
Honestly, I think that as far as building back and all that kind of stuff, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure the details of the plan and how it applies at this stage of this type of event. But I do know that they are gearing up to they're really putting a lot of emphasis on permitting personnel. They have people that Roger contracted that are going through and I guess searching the structures and figuring out which ones can be, which ones are condemned and which ones aren't. But there are also those people are going to, this is a while ago, it might have changed. The intent was to have them stay on and help with the permitting load.
Got
And,
it.
when we're in the build back, there's a lot, and this is one of the things that we're I'd like to see the town council meet, because what people build back is very important, and we want to be able to have some vision in place that doesn't really slow down or interfere with the building back. And I know one idea that's been kicked around that I think is a really good idea is to allow all the restaurant businesses to have food trucks.
Nice.
And
I know
allow
I
them.
spoke to Tom at La Ola today, and he went and bought one in Miami, and now he's just trying to figure out how he can get back on the island so he can maybe feed the workers. I mean, it sounded like a great idea to me. Get people, and he wants to pay his employees. That's the most important thing. I mean, Bill, 2,000, looks like 1,500, 2,000 people lost their jobs on that beach. I mean, I know it has nothing to do with you, but it's crazy. I mean, everybody, there's more people that were impacted from this that I think anybody in the country realizes. It's crazy.
Yeah. And those, and that's one of the beauties of the food truck. At least it puts some people to work, and also they can be mobile. So if they're working in one area, they can go to another. Or, I think the reality to with this is that, there's going to be workers on this island for years. I'm just going to be crawling with people. And so I'd like to, try to make sure that business that we're getting really stays with our restaurants. And that, if there's like a lot of building on Primo, then, if there's room, maybe they could, park their truck there, or maybe they could, if you clear Times Square is a, really difficult problem because, it's in the V zone now and everything's got to be built up, and that's not good for business unless we do it really smartly. But, when you clear Times Square in the short term, that would be a good place to put some food trucks too.
Yep.
Speaking of Times Square real quick, and then I want to take a question. Are they going to be allowed to build at where they were at ground level?
I'm not an expert on it, but I've heard no. I've heard there's going to be a lot of eyes on Fort Myers Beach, and like people who want to try to rebuild their house that's at ground level because it got flooded, maybe more stringent. That we can't be as permissive for that, or else we could be in trouble with FEMA. But my understanding is no, that everything's there's and with TPI, with Margaritaville, they have like a bit of a above ground plaza thing, right? Because they have the bridge there going across. That may be the model for Fort Myers Beach in Times Square, because you can't build any. They don't even like people putting tables and chairs at ground level, because what happens is people just leave them and they become debris and they go through and damage someone else's property. So this is what I've heard. I'm not an expert on this, of course, but if we build it up, then we could put parking underneath.
Yep.
Have a great view of the beach.
And we could put like a boardwalk up there that maybe connects right to the pier and the beach.
Nice.
Maybe there's a creative way. And I look forward to getting together, to seeing the creative input from the town councilors about how we can, not only address these problems, but come back stronger and, still keep a little funkiness.
Let's talk. Let's take another question. Dawn says, are they going to be able to fast track the permits? Unlike in the past where there were 7 to 9 months to get anything answered.
I think if your permit is doesn't require any kind of variances, or that is complies to the code, my understanding that they are going to fast track that. And I think that I would like to, I kind of was toying with the idea of saying, well, maybe we can come up with some templates. We can get the builders together. We can say, here's some templates that fit on a 75 by 100 foot lot, et cetera, et cetera. But then I don't want it to be too cookie cutter either. We have a style, and I'd like to see that come through.
All right, Bill, it is 7 o'clock, and I hope to have you back on another night. We appreciate your time, and thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, getting more information out to the community. We're just as bombarded with you are, and we're trying to help as many people as we can with the fund and the gift cards and anything we can do to get the word out. We appreciate it.
You know, and I'll tell you one thing that my feeling is, looking at my experience of being on the island, especially early on when people were there, is that one thing that people are going to need some help, especially the older people, is help sifting through the sand and and finding their stuff, finding something, you know, because it's tough. The sand is heavy. It's on everything. And if there's someone, you know, I'm relatively young and fit, but you know, it's tough. And maybe we could, you know, maybe the fund could be used to help take some of the workers that are displaced and put them to work helping people, you know, get their life back.
Well, and that might be a great volunteer thing for people, because people are constantly asking, you know, what can I do to help? And we refer them where they are, but it's also going to be a long-term project. So people need to, you know, buckle up for the long term through this project.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, you know, and I know that all the different, I'm sorry, I'm probably getting you past your time, but I know that, you know, the property owners are all individuals, right? And some are going to stay, some are not going to be. I hope that developers don't try to, you know, lowball people, but I also hope that too many people don't just hold on to their property forever and it becomes like, you know, like TPI. It's been since Charlie. You know, you hate to think that people are going to sit and hold on to property and not allow it to be developed. You know, and another thing too, I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time, is we had a proposal for the CB zoning district to allow those to be built with some housing on it. You know, half workforce housing, half whatever they else they want it to be. That's something we need to get as soon as we can to allow those businesses, because
I think
you know,
there
build
you
back,
are.
you know, get more of a benefit from what they have, and you know, benefit the community as well.
All right, Bill, we're gonna pull you out here because you're breaking up, and we're not sure what's going on. So thank you to Bill Veach, and we hope to have him on again. And it was great that his connection at his hotel lasted that long. And so we will check in with you again another time.
Yes,
Bill, thanks so
you.
much for coming on. And let's check in with Dan, if you can hear us now. Or Dan looks like he's frozen up. So when he unfreezes, there he is. Oh, Dan, can you hear us okay? It looks like your mic is muted. So let's see. You have to unmute your mic.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
There you go.
There you go. So why don't you give us a quick update from your end on what you did today?
So I started at 820 Buttonwood to kind of get that opened up and get everybody, you know, working. We had a lot of deliveries there today. So there was, you know, the fire department, Fort Myers Beach Fire Department, the people that were off duty today came and volunteered to help unload that. You know, a lot of the trucks today. That was pretty amazing to see. Then I went over and had an 11 o'clock meeting with the CEO of Fpl, Roger, some of the command staff that was there, as to, you know, what we're going to do, what they're doing as far as getting power back towards the island. As everybody can imagine that has seen the island, it's pretty decimated. It's going to take a lot of rebuilding. He did say that there's a lot of equipment that can be saved. They learned their lesson. It sounded like from Hurricane Michael, a lot of stuff was thrown away that was still good, but there's a lot of stuff that can be saved. But one thing that I took away from that meeting that I found very, very interesting and very, very powerful, and I stand behind, is he's not going to bend on safety. He's not going to jeopardize someone's home. He's not going to allow you to go into a place that is not safe. So when you do get back to the island and you can go to your home, you're going to be required to have a certified electrician, a local electrician, and I'm sure there'll be some from Lee County that are going to be plenty of them out there, and Fort Myers Beach are all going to work together to do an inspection on your home that's going to say your house is okay to receive power. They're not going to send power to your home until you have that sign off from a certified electrician. I thought that was a very important thing that people need to know, which to me makes total sense. You don't want to send power to something that you know, could potentially burn your house down. There was, I'll send you some.
I will say, Dan,
go ahead.
When I came down San Carlos to drop some stuff off, on my way back out, you know, when we were down there a couple of days ago, all the poles were leaning in, and now they're getting straightened back up. And there was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 trucks down there working to get that power up, at least down San Carlos Boulevard. I mean, I was really impressed with how quickly things are really moving along down there. I mean, I'm sure people who see it for the first time are like, what? But honestly, it was really much better.
You know, I'll tell you, for in the last 2 days, when you come down Old San Carlos, when you turn off the Summerlin at the Walmart, what you saw 2 days ago and what you see now is an absolute night and day difference. It's FDOT, the county, they are, you got to clear the path to be able to clear the debris, right? So some of the big boats are still there. They need much bigger cranes to get those out of the way. They're working on that. When those are done, then FPL can get in and they can start doing those stand-up poles, and they can make that energy go a little bit further. But as you said, Kim, they're really busting their butt. They're standing these poles up. Even just from this morning when I went down to when I just left about 20 minutes ago, the progress that they're making every single day is pretty impressive. One of the things that I did notice on the island today is FPL, as I kind of told you yesterday, they started a kind of a command center at the parking lot across from Lani Kai, kind of between where the external building, or the one on the bay side of Lani Kai, and the parking lot that Lani Kai uses between, Rude Shrimp and Yo Taco. They have trucks after trucks after trucks. Their guys were out there today working on securing the main feed line that goes down Estero Boulevard, so that when it is time to get power down the side streets into the homes, they're going to be ready. He did mention that the power so they can feed the island from two different directions. They can feed it from the south side and they can feed it from the north side. The bridge being compromised on the south side, they can't send power that way until Lee County can figure out a way to potentially maybe repair that. And one of the liaisons for the EOC was there from Lee County, took a very good note, asked very good questions as to what their role is in making sure that they can try to get power coming on from the south end. So it was a very informative meeting for me. It showed that the collaborative effort that people are doing to try to tailed. I know I've been long-winded here, but you there? Hello? Ed? Kim? I think we might have lost Ed and Kim. Not sure. Hey, Craig. Okay, I guess I'm still in. Just making sure. But I can't see you guys, so I don't know if we're hearing anything back. But I'll give you kind of an update on 820 Buttonwood, the delivery location at the Island Cart's kind of, we call it the Cart Shack. That's kind of been the name that's been given to that. What we had yesterday versus today is pretty impressive. It was we had several box trucks come in today. We had probably 20 volunteers there today taking deliveries, water, food, generators. We're organizing it as we go. We're closing down at 4, and then we're spending a couple hours trying to unwrap pallets that we're getting and stacking. And it's a pretty impressive sight how people have come together, and we're getting volunteers from all over the state that are coming down. We get people from it's heartwarming, honestly.
So Dan, I don't want to interrupt you, but
No.
who knows what's going to happen with the internet now. But what I did want to ask you was, we had Bill Veach on. I'm not sure if you heard it, but what is your understanding of how this plan will work to get people back on the beach?
Well, I'll be frank with you. It sounds like we're still moving on that same path to hopefully get people on the beach this weekend or first part of next week. I'll be honest, I with the amount of trucks and trailers and cleanup, and it's going to be very, very difficult. It's not going to be comfortable. It's probably going to be by foot. As the search and rescue is finishing up their things, they're clearing these zones. There's some cleanup teams that are going to probably go out in front of them and try to clean that up so that, as you saw, Ed and Kim, if you try to come on this island with a vehicle, even if you can get down your side street, you're not going anywhere, especially if these massive trucks are cleaning up houses out of your front yard. Even if you can get to your house, you probably got a house in front of your house. So,
Right.
It's probably going to be coming in sections. It's going to be coming, as they can clear the zones and as they can clear the debris to allow you to get in. And, the more I thought about it after I kind of heard some of the stuff today, it made me think like, well, people are cautious and people really want to get in. But I kind of see it from the more I thought about it, the more I kind of look at it from the safety issue. So say we let everybody come back on the island. This is all hypothetical, but say we let everybody come back on the island all at once. You can come over the bridge, everything's get to your house. What's going to happen with the amount of debris, which you guys have seen, is you're going to have the inevitable. People are going to slip. They're going to fall. They're going to step on a nail. They're going to break an arm. It's going to happen just with the amount of debris that's there if it's not out of the way. And what that's going to do is make calls to search, to the fire department or to the police department to come for help. And with the right of way that we have available, we didn't have a lot of space on the island the way it was. And if you've got construction vehicles, if you've got people trying to work on a street and they've got their truck and trailer there, you're not going to be able to get to someone. People are probably going to work very hard to try to clean out their houses. I'm not probably in the best shape of my life, I'll be honest with you, but I'm a go-getter and I'm going to work as hard as I can. And, a friend of mine today said, you got to be careful. You got to slow down. You got to drink some water. You never know. You could have, you could really do some damage. And, you got to think about those kind of things. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to allow people to get back on the island as soon as possible so they can get to their homes. But we also have to make sure that these homes are safe. The last thing I want to do is go ahead.
Let me interrupt for a sec. I think everybody kind of gets all that and probably agrees with all that. I think, can you lay out when the plan will be ready? When will the plan be ready so that people can say, okay, on Saturday night between 2 and 7, this section of the beach has got 5 hours to secure their roof, put the tarps on, get your crap out, get off the island. This on Sunday, we got it in 2 sections. Where's that plan? When is that plan coming out? And who's going to announce that plan so that people that want to get back to their properties can do that?
The simple answer and the only answer I can give you is I don't know, but I can tell you that the plan is going to be exactly what you laid out. It's going to be sections. It's going to be this area is clear, search and rescue. This area is clear as far as what houses are stable for people to go into, and you're going to be able to come in. I don't know that for sure, but that's in the discussions that I heard today and the discussions that I had, that's the way it's going to probably go. You're going to be allowed on the island for a certain amount of time. As far as I know, there was no inclination as to change the date that was put out last week when they said a week. I don't know exactly when search and rescue is going to be done, but I feel that they're getting very close. Today on the island, I noticed there wasn't nearly as many dogs out. There was not as many people. The streets seemed to be much more clear of the search and rescue vehicles, but I did see a massive influx of the debris cleaning people. So trying to get some of that done ahead of time. So I think it's going to be kind of a phased entry would be my best guess. in what I've heard,
Do you know if people can come in? People are asking if they can come in by boat. Do you know if that's going to be an option?
that's a very good question. I know that you can't,
Oh.
you're not supposed to now. Whether you can or you can't come in by boat, I will ask that question tomorrow and I can update you with it. But I mean, to me, it would make sense. You would alleviate some of the traffic if you can get stuff in and out by boat and you're not taxing, I think, the boulevard and the side streets. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it if that's something that you have the resources to be able to do.
Right
I guess
now,
the thing is going to be, I mean, I saw a lot of boats, you know, just all over the place, but also the docks. I mean, well, the docks. I mean, if you
and all the Lee County
know.
boat ramps are closed as of today.
Yeah, I
That
heard
was
that. I
also-
heard that.
So, Dan, I know I'm a broken record like this, but I feel like I have to ask it. And Sanibel, everybody on the town council kept saying, not everybody, but they want to be more like Sanibel. What is Sanibel doing? What Sanibel is holding a meeting every night. They're holding a Facebook Live meeting now. I said to Bill, I'm not saying maybe you should hold it every night, but they are holding it a Facebook Live meeting every night. It was at 5:00 today. Sometimes it's at 6:30, and they take questions from the residents on Facebook and in the audience at the Royal Crown Plaza Hotel in Fort Myers. So when is the town going to do that?
That's a good question, Ed, and I do not have that answer. As I said last night, and I'll say it again, in my opinion, there's no reason we haven't had an update with the town council to everybody. I understand it has to be properly noticed. The fact that other municipalities are doing it and we're not, quite frankly, there needs to be a message sent out, in my opinion, from all of us. One, showing that we're here, we're working, we're all working. But
Yeah.
I can understand the frustration of people. They don't get to see it. They don't get to see it. They don't get to, people need to know that their elected officials are working for them. And we all are working for them. I promise you, every single one of us are working for you in our own different ways. We're all doing what we can do. But we need to be together. We need to stand there and say, this is what it is. This is what we're, even if it's a taped message that we send out, it needs to happen. It needs to happen sooner than later, in my opinion. And I think it will happen. I don't know when. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I know when, because I don't know. I don't know.
Someone is asking about, I'm going to paraphrase here, but given that this is a crisis, is there any emergency? Is there any leeway on the notice?
There is. I mean, how is Sanibel doing it every night? They're not doing the proper notice if they're doing it every night. It's impossible. Because you got to publicize it in a publication twice, or I mean, there's some kind of emergency situation going on.
Well, and I'm not an attorney. I can't speak as to.
Gotcha.
I mean, if I had my druthers, I would tomorrow morning we'd all be standing out there telling you, here's what it is. Here's a video. Here's what we're looking at. Here's, let's take a tour of the island. Let's show exactly what the streets are, because I think it's important that, everybody wants to get back to their house, Ed. They really do. And I hate to keep harping on it, but you literally have nothing here to come back to at this point. There's no sewer, there's no water, there's no electric, there's no place to park your car. You can walk or you can bike, and that is about it. It killed me watching people load all their stuff in shopping carts from Publix or carts that they had from Diamond Head or wherever, and pushing through the sand to get out. The sand may be is gone where you can at least walk a little bit easier, but the conditions have not changed. It's a mountain of just debris.
Right.
Yeah, there are some people that there are a few houses that people feel like they can get back to, but it's certainly not the majority. And there are still some people staying on the island. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, I don't know where they're going to the bathroom. I mean, there's no power, there's no water, there's no way to flush. I mean, what the hell are they doing there?
Well, yeah, and the thing that frustrates me the most is when you start hearing rumors and you start hearing things that are absolutely not true. Megan and I lost everything in our house. We lost both of our cars. It's no secret. Everybody lost everything. I have not been back to my house since the mandatory evacuation was put in place. I'm not doing anything that I'm not asking everybody else to do. I could easily probably go down and clean out my house and tear the sheetrock out and I'm not doing it because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people that I'm asking to be patient, to wait. So I'm doing the same thing. I feel your pain. We've all lost businesses. We've all lost our homes. We've all lost our belongings. But you have to, we have to make sure that we can do it where everybody can still be safe. And anybody that knows me, and I've been harping it for years, safety is a very, very big thing to me. And it's not safe for people to drive on that island with all the vehicles and all this heavy equipment and the FPL. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
it's a lot.
Dan, it's good to see you back on video, and we will we'll check back in with you tomorrow night, see if there's anything new, if that works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you got to see my good side.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Dan Allers, he's got somewhat of an internet setup there. It's we're slowly and surely, little things at a time are happening, and I'm trying to get the information to you as fast as we can about when you can get on. It doesn't seem like they know exactly yet, but they're trying to figure out exactly when. Maybe this weekend, maybe Saturday, there'll be some people that can get on and secure their houses, but certainly not to stay in their house because, like people have been saying over and over again, there's no water, there's no sewer, there's no way to flush, there's no restaurant to go to. You can't go, to your favorite bar and have a drink. It's just inhabitable still, and it probably will be an uninhabitable. Thank you. Mrs. Webster. Just to recap a few of the things before we roll the video will be of me riding the bike. I played it already. There's a video. Kim interviewed somebody at Lake's
Library
where
he was like yelling from down the thing, Beach Talk Radio. I mean,
yeah, if anybody wants any of these yellow shirts, now they're just sitting in the closet. We'd love to get the Yellow Army out there especially when we start going back over the bridge and cleaning up to see all those shirts. Would be kind of cool. So we did hand off our first $20,000 check to the Women's Club and the Community Foundation today. Well, Kim did. And there's a picture of that up on our Facebook page. If you don't get up at 2:30 in the morning, you're going to miss a lot of news because by the time you all get up, you're going to have to scroll all the way down the way things are happening and the way things are changing. What?
Thank you, Rhonda. I don't necessarily think that's true. She said, Ed and Kim, call Ron DeSantis. He'll probably
yeah, sure. So what were we talking about? You were totally throwing me off base. Oh, the check. We handed the check off. And again, there's two things going on here, everybody. There's the money that we're giving to the Community Foundation and the Women's Club, because they're both 501(c)(3)s. They're funneling the money to the people on the beach, $500, and it could turn out to be a $500 monthly thing. So you're going to go on our Facebook page. The first post, the pinned post, is going to take you to an easy thing so we can verify you're a resident of 33931, and you're going to get a check within 48 hours. So not a check. You're going to get something, Zelle or something that I never heard of, but apparently it's faster than everything else. They're going to get you $500 as long as they can verify you're a resident. The other thing that we're trying to do is get everybody a $500 gift card that was an employee. Between 1,500 and 2,000 employees lost their job on Fort Myers Beach. Your manager or your owner needs to send an email to GG Norse, and that's GIGI Norse. Did I say that wrong?
Yeah, that's not what you said last time.
GIGI Bars at gmail.com. She is organizing the list for us, and then we're going to figure out a meeting place because people all over the country are sending cards down. And if you want to send a card, just send me an email and I'll give you the address, edryan, the editor, at gmail.com. So that's the two things we have going on. You can donate money. We had 4 to 5 $1,000 donations just today. It's crazy. Roger Scarborough, who we've seen at Pete's Timeout many times over the years, he donated $1,500. So right now we're up to $156,000 after 8 days of you guys watching this silly show and donating to everybody on the beach. And we appreciate that so much, but we are going to need more. I hate to sound like NPR, but we are going to need more. Don't make me sound like Jimmy Falwell.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing. This is, there's going to have to be other events, fundraising things, because as soon as something else happens to take people's attention away, I mean, not the people that are here, we're going to be focused on this for a very long time, but the broader community of the U.S., things come up, people get distracted. So we just have to keep it out there and keep people aware of all the need that's down here, get the stories out of the rescues and stuff to really drive the point home that people really are going to need help here for a long time. Halloween is coming. Thanksgiving is coming. Christmas is right around the corner. And these folks, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So
the stories that, I mean, just picking up the phone rings so many times, and then I just randomly pick it up because it's so hard to answer. And just listening to people's stories, it just wants to make you want to cry every time somebody calls. We had somebody that came to the door today, and she had a 7-week-old baby.
was that this morning?
7-week-old baby, and they're so thankful. You know, you're giving them $400 worth of gift cards, and you feel like, you know, I'm so sorry. I mean, I wish we could help so much more, but everybody's so grateful because it helps for the next week, or it helps for the next few days, or whatever it is. So I just want you all to know that your money is going to good use, and we're getting it in the door, we're getting it out the door. The faster that we can transfer it over to those guys in that fund, you know, the transfer things aren't as easy as you'd want them to be. There's a limit that you can take out of Venmo, and then, you know, we're writing a check and we're trying to get a money order. So
we're fine doing that. It's not that
yeah. It's not a big deal, but
and also the supplies are helpful. I mean, you know, keep them rolling in just so they can have them again for the long haul. Toilet paper doesn't go bad. Paper towels don't go bad. Diapers don't go, you know, they're going to need this stuff for a really long time. It's going to take a bit to build back.
There is a press conference tomorrow at 11 o'clock at the Lee County Center that we'll be attending, and we'll be asking more specific questions for Fort Myers Beach. So hopefully you guys can tune in at 11. I'm going to bring the laptop and hopefully broadcast it live right from there. And there's also a Washington
work gloves. Why
don't
not
you?
that many work gloves. So yes, they're just.
I know, Chelsea. I know people have been constantly saying an Amazon wish list, but the thing is,
your sister.
I can't organize another thing. So I just keep. People are trying to bring up merchandise and things like that. I'm like, there's only so much. If somebody else wants to do it and somehow figure it out, we're totally cool with that. Any way you can bring in money and supplies, but sometimes I can't do two things at the same time. So.
Sometimes you can't do one. Sorry. And we're back.
All righty. So I don't know if there's anything else. Do you have?
No, let's
because we've been on way too long.
Really appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. And
yeah,
really too, we've gotten so many comments and thank yous and gratitude. And you know what? We appreciate it. We do appreciate it. But yeah. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you all for being part of this. It's 156,000, and we will do the next update at 9 o'clock, like we always do. We do a little short video at 9 o'clock to give you an update on the money, and then tomorrow night at 6. I have no idea who the guests are. We are trying to get the county manager on, who I think has been doing a great job of informing people about how the county is handling it. And we're working to get him on. Of course, some of these other guests that we've had on, we'll have them on again.
And if there's, you know, if you guys are the ones that have the questions and the need for information,
you can always suggest a guest. Right. I know you weren't going to get that out, so I had to help you out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to try and do this, throw the sound on, and you guys can watch it if you want. This is a 13-minute video of the bike ride that I took the day after the big storm. So.
It's 2 days after, but
it could have been 2 days after, but it
again with the math,
it certainly gives you a decent look of what's going on. Okay, everybody, I'm going to get rid of all these banners and stuff. You guys know the Venmo better than I did. I wrote it wrong on the damn Facebook again today, so I appreciate you guys correcting it right away. And we're going to let it rip, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Hey guys. Here we are on Estero Boulevard. That was going to be the older building at Margaritaville Saved Surf Club. See behind me, you can see Margaritaville still standing. All the fencing. When we do our Saturday morning walks, it's usually fencing right here, all the way around Margaritaville.
Miami, Jacksonville fire and rescue.
Oh, God. Here's the whale. and root shrimp behind it. Signs that say need help. 7-Eleven, completely gutted. Pictures that we've been sharing up until this point. Never do this kind of damage justice. Never. So you're right in the middle of it. Guys, how are you? Got it. Thank you, guys. Sheriff's deputies are evacuating families at the base of the bridge on this side. We got huge vehicles that they're using to move people out because their homes are gone. What was this? This was.
So that might be an issue.
Hey guys, the parking lot. Mr. Tequila. The Sea Gypsy was somewhere over here. It's completely gone. We passed it. It's an empty spot now. Somebody yesterday on our page was asking about goods. Here it was. We're gonna get close down to Hoosiers. Just totally destroyed houses and roads. You can't get down. You can see that the folks here plowed the sand like it was snow. I don't remember what these wetlands were. Bunch of sheriff's deputies. Here's Hoosiers in Paradise.
That would have been you. I would have thought everybody else Postmarked pizza.
Thank you guys. Hey. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, bud. Keep updating everybody.
Thank you. Heading out.
Yes, sir. You better believe it.
All right, man. Good luck. So all we got left is carts full of whatever they could get from their homes. Anybody out there watching this? I need some help. Lots of help. Cars just picked up and dumped on one another. Howdy, guys. Totally demolished. Hey, guys. Where are we getting to now? Okay, we're gonna get to Tuckaway Cafe and Royal Scoop coming up next. Some it looks like some of the cottage houses. Six pack of cars. Oh, brother. Yep, here comes Tuckaway Cafe and Goods. Sorry. Oh boy. Bait and tackle. Somebody's got a sense of humor. There is Tuckaway Cafe, Royal Scoop, and all their furniture. Somebody's furniture. Howdy, guys. That used to be, I believe that used to be t-shirt shop. Howdy. That was, don't tell me that was the church. No way. No way. That was the church. Good grief. Holy smokes. And now we're coming up on Town Hall. We're going to check out the library in Bay Oaks. Oh, it got Town Hall good too. Yep, Town Hall. We'll check out the library. Bay Oaks. School. Then we're going to head down to CNC Plaza, which is where we're meeting up with everybody. Howdy, guys. Meyer side. Oof. Damn. That's good. Oh, there's the rest of the Meyer side buildings. Around those power lines. Oof. Good God, Bay Oaks. Baseball fields are destroyed. Billions and billions of dollars worth of damage. I mean, it's crazy. You got like a B&B Meyer side here, and a refrigerator hanging from the tree right there. Oh, the school. It's not live. It's going to take a long time to clean up every road, every side street, every building. Seagrave Plaza. Shit. Damn. It's unbelievable. Thank you. All right, everybody. We're going to head down to Santini Plaza now and see what's going on down there.